Yeah, Zach being out, we'll look at guys on our roster that we have a lot of confidence in, and TJ and Antonio and Christian there. So we'll take a look at what our options are, and like I said, we get a lot of confidence in all three of those guys.
Is it a situation where Devin's going to have to just kind of shoulder the bulk of that burden, though?
Well, that's where we'll start, and he's very aware of that, and more than capable, and he's done that before.
And if just one more thing, obviously last year you played this team, and you probably did as good a job as anybody on Lamar Jackson. How much do you rely on that tape, Sean? It's a new year, but how much do you look at what happened last year in that game?
Well, I'm sure they'll be looking at that tape. They've got a lot of new stuff this year that we've been looking at, that they've added to their offense. So, I think it's a frame of reference or a reference point, but it's not a be-all, end-all.
Okay. Thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, going off of, trying to contain Lamar, I guess, what do you guys need to do to make sure that he doesn't, when he does get out of the pocket and, make those explosive plays like we know that he can, what do you guys need to do to contain him and keep him in the pocket?
Yeah, well, I mean, you gotta play good team defense, whether, against their pass game, their run game. He's a big part of their run game, the loose plays that he creates. So it's got to be good team defense, Heather.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, Dan Fates in Rochester. Just wanted to get your opinion on Cole Beasley's performance, just kind of gutting through an injury. Josh gave him a shout out after the game, said he was tough as nails. I'm not going to ask about his injury, but just his performance and going out there and playing the way he did.
Yeah, he's a stud, man. Just like Josh said, he's tough as nails. He loves to compete. And he did a great job along with our training staff getting himself ready to play last week. And so, we come back this week and get ready to go again.
How's he feeling after the game?
Yeah, I mean, like all players, they're sore, but he'll be ready to go.
Thanks, Coach.
Sure.
Hey, Coach, Josh Reed here. Hope you're doing well. How much do you watch the Ravens-Titans game? Did you actually sit and watch it live as it's happening?
I tried to. I was honestly more focused on just trying to finish up our game and make sure I communicated with the coordinators and the staff. But yeah, it was on, and I think in most guys' offices. And you try and watch it, but obviously we're focused on what's in front of us, which was again making sure we did the right follow-up to our game the previous week there.
You mentioned that there's a difference between what they did last year when you met them and what they're doing right now. J.K. Dobbins seems to be a big difference in what they did last year versus this year. I know you're probably just kind of starting to look at film and stuff, but what kind of weapon has the rookie running back been?
Yeah, he's a stud. I mean, I think he got drafted rather high, and rightfully so. He's helped their offense. I think he's averaging, a pretty impressive number when he's gotten the ball. And so I've been very impressed, and I know our staff has as well to this point.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate your time.
Yep.
Coach Mookie Arkins, Waffle Sports 1080. How you doing this afternoon?
Good, Mookie. How are you?
I'm good, Coach. What will be key in your approach in preparing your team this week, and how does that challenge on getting your team to the next game motivate you?
Yeah, I mean, we're in the second round of the playoffs here. Every team's good, and we have a lot of respect for how good the Ravens are and the success that they've had over the last number of years under Coach Harbaugh. And I think the key is having a good week of preparation and putting the time in to go out there and play our best football.
Appreciate your time, Coach.
Sure.
Hi, Sean. You mentioned going back and making sure you learned everything you could from the last game. When you were able to put on the tape, what did you make of Tremaine Edmunds' performance?
Yeah, I thought he made some plays where he made plays that to me stood out as productive plays, both in the run and the pass game. And I thought he was aggressive and challenged, and I thought that was good to see.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach, I realize, your last meeting with the Ravens was 13 months ago and a lot has changed, but 8 of your defensive starters were physically on the field facing Lamar. And I guess what I'm asking here is, there are supreme talents that people watch on tape and prepare for on tape, but then you get on the field and it's almost like an initial shock value that you have to adjust to. Having been physically on the field against Lamar, is there any way that at least helps in the preparation phase for your players defensively?
Yeah, I mean, to an extent. That said, though, Chris, he's such a special talent, to your point, that very few, if any, can mirror what the speed that he plays at and what he's able to do. So, we'll do the best that we can during the week to prepare ourselves, and so that's really all we can do at this point.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, going back to the Zack and Devin conversation, it looked like you had your arm around Devin while Zack was being tended to, and was talking to him for a little bit before the card came. Can you share what you were saying, what that conversation with Devin was like?
No, I just told him it's his time to step up, and this is what he's worked all his life for. And Devin's a guy that has worked extremely hard over the course of his career, even before he got to the NFL. And so he's no stranger to hard work, and he's no stranger to having to carry the load. And I know this team is 100% confident in Devin Singletary.
Thank you, Sean.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, Adam Bonini. The two of you are really two of the hottest teams in the National Football League. What's your take on the Ravens in terms of what allowed them to kind of flip the switch after they went through the whole COVID-related scenario there and, win 6 consecutive games here?
Yeah, I mean, I just think they're a good football team. They're big, they're strong, they're tough, they're well coached. They've got playmakers on all sides of the ball, including special teams. Probably the best kicker in the game, so they don't beat themselves. I mean, where do you want to? It comes down to how well you play, and they're playing really good, and they've got a loaded roster of good players that are game changers.
How would you describe, kind of the mindset of your team now, as deep into the postseason as they've been on your watch here?
In terms of our mindset?
Yeah, as they, coming off a win like they had, in the divisional round with really so much at stake here.
Well, I think we move on to the next game. The guys were in getting treatment that they need to get, and I think they're focused on transitioning to the next opponent. That's a very good opponent, and we have a lot of respect for them.
Thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, it's Kim Jones. I'm not sure I've ever covered an offensive lineman who was looking for attention or praise, but it seems Daryl Williams has given you a nice season so far. And I'm just wondering about his awareness and ability to cover that fumble the other day and how big a play you look back at that as being.
Yeah, I thought that was a huge play, Kim. Not sure, how much that got written about the day after the game. But if he doesn't recover that fumble, maybe there's a different ending to that game just based on where they would have gotten that ball. But huge play in the game and a big time hustle play, which is great.
If I may briefly follow up, do you say anything, like you were saying that and I was getting chills, like, kind of the impact of that play. Did you seek him out, or would you seek a player out to just say, like, believe me, I saw that and I appreciate that, buddy?
Yeah, I saw him yesterday from a distance because of the rules, and I just gave him the thumbs up more than anything and said, hey, that was a huge play. That's kind of those are the details, the small things that become big things this time of year in particular.
I appreciate that, Sean. Thank you.
Sure. Is that it?
Sorry about that, Sean. No, I had a little trouble with my microphone there. I wanted to ask you, Sean, regarding that month heading into the playoffs of really fat margins in which you won by a lot of points, what the value is to having won a game like you did on Saturday in terms of, this is playoffs, and I guess I don't want to overload the question. I'll just leave it at that. What's the value of winning a game like you did on Saturday after having it pretty easy for December?
Well, yeah, Tim, respectfully, it's never easy. That's the way the NFL is, and that's what you have to expect every week, whether it's playoffs or the regular season. You've got to expect games to be close and respect your opponent in a healthy way. And I think our team does that, and then go to work to earn the right to win. And I think that process, that progression is the right one. And we were fortunate to come out with a win, and now we go back to work this week to start it all over again.
Yeah, I think when I said easy, that was a poor choice of words on my part. I guess what I was referring to is that it kind of helps you recalibrate a little bit, certain mindset of, and that's not to say you weren't. I guess if you can elaborate on how it is to adjust to get into that playoff mindset, is it any different?
No, it shouldn't be. It honestly shouldn't be. If you're wired the right way and you've been through this before, which some guys have, some guys haven't, but and I can see what you're saying. I think from a performer or competitor standpoint, you expect that. You expect those close games every week, like I said, and I think that's what you expect to see. Those are the games you expect to be in the fourth quarter, and you got to make the necessary plays to win the game in the fourth quarter, expecting it to be tight. That's the margins in the NFL in particular, every year, let alone this year.
And then my last question is matchup related regarding Saturday's game. Colts tight ends had a pretty productive day going up against a team that also gets good production out of their tight ends. Are there parallels that you can make in terms of matchups from the Colts to the Ravens and how they're defended and what you need to do?
Well, I think there's always some carryover week to week that, things you can look at. That said, these are two different offenses, respectfully, both very good, and both use the tight end, to your point. So we'll have our work cut out for us, Tim.
All right. Thank you, Sean.
Sure.
Hi, Sean. In regards to Zack Moss, in the timetable, do you expect that to impact his off season at all?
You know what? I honestly don't have a lot of the detail on that, Matt, to give you to fill the gaps. Maybe as we go forward the next week or two, I'll be able to get more detail so that I don't want to give you the wrong answer. I do have some general ideas and some general detail, but I think overall we're going to be fine. It's just a matter of seeing what the next couple of days look like as more information comes in.
And in regards to the game this week, what have you observed about the Ravens' ability to force fumbles? And, not that you need any added emphasis on ball security. I know that's important, but what have you observed about that aspect of their game?
Yeah, they're, I think, tops in the league at forcing fumbles, and they do a great job of it. I'm sure they coach it, do a phenomenal job of it. So we've got to continue to be disciplined and very aware of it, and work on it.
Thanks, Sean.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, when you call up guys like week 17, for example, Antonio Williams, you could bring up several guys, and I know you were backing off on a few players, but when you do that, obviously you're not expecting or anticipating someone like Zack getting hurt. So in that decision, is it to reward the guy who's been working so hard in practice all year? Is it let's see what he can do in a game situation just in case something like that does happen down the road? What goes into the thought process? Because here we are, and now at least you did have a look at him in week 17 in game action.
Yeah, and it doesn't always work out like that, but we're fortunate that it did, so we could take a look at Antonio, and he certainly popped, in terms of when you looked at the film and when you felt him down there on game day. So great experience for a young man that had worked. He really worked hard, and I thought that was one of the cool pieces about that week was we were able to give some guys that have busted their tails all season long a chance to go out there and show us what they got.
And obviously, we don't know how you're going to treat the roster the rest of the week, but having a guy like TJ who's been in the league for a while and practicing with you and understands all your concepts and things like that. He's been on the team for a couple of years, obviously. How much more, comfort does that give you having a guy you saw as a rookie that you did see in game action and a veteran you can turn to if you want to do that?
Yeah, that's big. We've got a lot of confidence in TJ as well, and he's played in a lot of games over the course of his career, and rightfully so. He's a good back, and we've got a lot of trust and faith in him.
Thanks, Coach.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, Thad Brown. I was wondering your reaction to the way the Browns kind of navigated a pretty tough COVID situation, did it really successfully, and then does that at all become another lesson to your guys about being comfortable, being uncomfortable, and being ready for success, even if something does come up with your team next few weeks here?
Yeah, the journey is full of those kind of opportunities to learn, whether it happens to your team or it's things that you can learn from other teams that they're going through. Yeah, there's, you're always challenged during the journey, and you're always trying to learn as well. And so I think that combined is becomes who you are as a team in terms of trying to find a way to get it done.
All right, thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
Hey, Sean, Mike Catalana. The play Taron Johnson made down near the goal line, it looked like he communicated with Micah and then he cut through right before half and made the play. Is that film study? Is that instinct? Is it a combination of things? I mean, how does he get to that place and then make such an impactful play? Well,
I think that's where it goes back to the work that's put in during the week, like you said, Mike, and then his instincts take over from there, because you got to be able to put the work in to get yourself in the position to recognize things, and then let your instincts take over, because you don't want to be thinking during the game, you just want to be playing free.